Six Nations season is officially here, people. Optimism is at an all-time high. Logic is optional, and every fan base thinks that this year will be their year. And we're all looking at you, Scotland, because every year is your year, it seems like it. This is Alex, and I welcome you to Inside the Gain Line podcast, where today we will be doing a 2026 Six Nations preview. We'll do some squad news, some player missions, and then something that we all love to do, but we rarely get right, and that is predictions. So if you like what you hear, please comment down below, like the video, share the video, and if you don't like what you hear, comment even more, because there will be a like a banter session and we can hash it out as a rugby community. So I thank you for joining. Sit back, relax, and I'll see you on the other side. Let's hit it. Welcome back, guys. We are going to hit the ground running with the first team out, and that is Wales. Now, I don't really know where Wales are currently. They are nowhere. They've been on such a long losing streak over the last couple of years that it's been difficult to see where any win is going to come from. They got that lucky win against Japan towards the end of last year, and if we're honest, they pushed the All Blacks much harder than we or anyone expected. They scored a lot more tries than anyone expected. But I do think New Zealand didn't play their best game. And yes, they pulled away in the second half and blew up the score. But Wales hung in there, and they accounted for themselves very well. But unfortunately, then came the Springbok game, where it was just an absolute humiliation, demolition, and it was hard to watch. And that's with 12 of the Springboks frontline players not even in the game. So if we look at this season's 2026 Six Nations, they have two of the juggernauts off the bat. They're playing England at the Allianz Stadium, and then they're playing France in Wales. So it's going to be extremely rough opener for Wales. I don't see them doing anything against England or France. Even though, if you look at Tandy, he's been moving this Wales team forward. Some of the changes that he's made does show some positive signs. I think he's moving away from the loyalty that Wales had to older players and to players of reputation and their name and all that sort of thing. And that's two things that I think Wales needs to do to move forward. Firstly, is youth over loyalty. You can't stick to old players and to players that are past their prime. And then obviously energy over reputation. Those youthful players will bring in a new batch of energy. They will bring some youthful exuberance that will be good for Wales. And that might bring Wales back to teams of old where you knew you're going to be in a fight. They will stick to it like a dog to a bone. And that's what Wales needs to get back to, is that doggedness, that never say die attitude. That will bode well for Wales moving forward. But this season's Six Nations, I don't see much happening for them. They're playing, like I said, England, then they're playing France, then they're playing Scotland, which will be a tough game for the Scots, but I do think Scots will pull through. And then they end up with Italy and Ireland. So it's going to be tough for Wales. So I don't see them doing much, and a win is going to be very hard to come by. So, sorry Wales, it's going to be a rough season for you guys. So moving along swiftly to our second team, which is the Italians, the Azzurri. And I don't know where to place Italy as well. They came to South Africa last year, and they pushed the box. Okay, the first game was a blowout. But the second game showed that Italy have moved on. They've made progress. They've become more of a 80-minute team. And if not for one or two decisions and one or two lucky passes sticking for the box, they could have given us a loss. So Italy are moving forward. And I do see some positive signs. They've got some brilliant players, and one of the most promising players and one of my favorite players from Italy is Tommaso Manincello. Manincello is an absolute beast in the midfield. That guy carries the Italian team on his shoulders, mostly. And if ever Italy does anything very well, it's mostly off the back of a good Manincello game. But if we look at Italy in the Six Nations, if we can just look at some of last year's results, they pushed Ireland in the first game. They really pushed them and lost 22-17, which was, if not for one or two calls, Italy could have beaten Ireland there. But after that, it was a bit of a shambles for them. England blew them out. France totally demolished them, putting on more than 70. And Wales was, as we know, nowhere. So that was a win for the Italians. And then Scotland obviously just finished it off for them. So last year's Six Nations, for me, is a precursor for this year's Six Nations as well. Italy opening up to Scotland in Rome, where they always play Scotland very hard. And in 2024, they beat Scotland in Rome 31-29. So it bodes well for Italy. They can give Scotland a go. They can make the game very close. But I don't think they'll pull it through. It's going to be difficult for them. I see them playing Ireland close again, second up. France is going to be very difficult because they're playing France in France. They're playing England in Italy, which is going to be, I don't know, difficult to say the least, because England's on the rise. And then their win will come probably against Wales in Wales to end up the Six Nations for them. They, like I said, they have made progress. They've become more of an 80-minute team. They play a lot of expansive rugby. They play ball and hand rugby. They play quick rugby. So Italy will account for themselves in the Six Nations, but I don't see them getting more than one win, and that win will come against Wales, unfortunately, where the other teams will be a little bit difficult for them to pull off a win. But yes, Italy will play well. It's going to be entertaining, to say the least, but no top of the table progress for Italy in the 2026 season. So now we're moving towards the mid of the table and our next team up. So next up is our brave Scots, Scotland. And for me personally, Scotland is the most exciting team in the Six Nations. They play with flair, they play with enthusiasm, they play an extremely expansive rugby game, and that all revolves around one player. And he is the envy of most teams in the world, except obviously the Springboks with Sash FM, but that's Finn Russell. Everything that is good about Scotland comes off the boot and out of the hands of Finn Russell. He is mercurial, he is prodigious, and he has that X factor that most teams wish they had in a fly-off. But herein lies the problem for Scotland. And if I can list two examples of what I'm going to say, is two games. One game against Argentina, where they led 21-0, and for some unexplained reason just threw the game away. And then the game against New Zealand. They were 17-0 down halftime, pushed the All Blacks to the brink, and then lost the game. That would have been a historic win for Scotland. But those two games exemplifies exactly what I believe is wrong with Scotland. And that is a weak mentality. They do all the hard yards. They put in every tackle. They do every skip pass. They play with youthful exuberance. And then when the game gets tight, when they need to just bite the bullet and get the win, that weak mentality comes to the fore and they find a way to lose. So would I see anything different in this 2026 edition of the Six Nations? I don't think so. I think until Scotland can prove it game on game, year on year, that they can actually play winning rugby and they don't go into the Six Nations thinking this is our year and actually show that this is their year, things won't change. So if we look at some of last year's results, they lost against France. They beat Wales, which that isn't really something to write home about. But the game that I'm going to look at is that England versus Scotland game. They lost 16-15. They was on the brink of beating England, and they played in the Allianz Stadium. So that again just shows where are Scotland when the going gets tough, when the game is on the line. And then they do what they always do, that's lose against Ireland, and then they beat the Italians. So if we move that into the 2026 edition of the Six Nations, I think it's going to go kind of similar. They're starting off with Italy in Rome, and they most probably will eke out a win there. And then they go and play England at home. And I don't think anything's going to happen there. England is at the moment way too strong. But Scotland, come on. You guys have the talent. You have the players. Just put it all together in one cohesive 80-minute game and show the world what everyone knows that you can do, and that is perform at the highest level. Take that step up and get into that top 5 of world rugby, where you currently struggle to get to, and if you get there, struggle to stay there. But unfortunately this year, Scotland is going to end up, if I can use a pop culture reference, you guys are going to be Malcolm in the middle. As always, stuck in the middle. And hopefully next year will be your year. Now we move into the upper echelons of the Six Nations, the big dogs. And first up, we have Ireland. And we're going to have an uncomfortable conversation off the bat. Ireland, are you guys still the dominating factor, the dominating force that you guys were in days gone past? Or have you guys actually hit a wall with regards to your results, your tactics, your coaching, and your player group? 2025 was a very middling season for this Irish team. If I can throw in 2 examples of that, that is the Welsh game and the Italian game. Both of those games were a lot closer than people expected and people envisioned for this Irish team. If you look at the Wales result, it was 27-18, and the Italian team was even closer, 22-17. What's happening to this Irish team? In days gone past, the Irish team were known for their phase play, keeping that ball for minutes at a time, phase upon phase upon phase, and you just couldn't you just couldn't stop them. And at the end, you knew that a try was coming. This current group of Irish players, I don't know where the tries are coming from. And you've got the players. Not as many as you had in the past, but you got a good group of players. And you've got a fly-off in Sam Pendergast that might not be the best defender. Well, he's definitely not a good defender. But the guy has a cannon of a boot. His passing is probably on par with the best flyers in the world, and he can put you guys on the front foot. You've got a pack that can compete with the biggest packs in the world. Well, we're just going to quickly stop there, and I wasn't sure if I should bring up this game for the risk of opening up some sore scars and scabs and whatnot. But the game against South Africa, that was an absolute and utter demolition of the front row of this Irish team. Porter and Sheenan has never gone back in the way that they went back against the Boks. Now, will that be a precursor for this 2026 season? And will the other teams in the Six Nations take something out of that and think, okay, well, if we attack them up front, that is our way to beat this Irish team? Time will tell how big of a scar that game has left in this Irish team. But then looking at some of the other results of 2025, they beat the Japan team close. Well, the score kind of flattered Ireland, I see that game a lot closer than the score said, or that the score showed at the end. And then they played an Australian team that peaked against South Africa at the beginning of the season. And then they lost against New Zealand and South Africa. So, again, a middling season for this Irish team. Do I expect better things for Ireland in this season? I don't think so. They're playing France first up, in France. Then they're playing, which I don't think is going to be a win. They're playing Italy in Ireland. And then the big one for Ireland, that if they can get through this one, their season will be not a success, but it will show signs of progressing forward. And that's a game against England at the Allianz Stadium. Now, do I think Ireland will pull through? Don't think so. But they're going to push England, and it's going to be a brilliant game. And then they're going to end off with Wales in Ireland and then Scotland in Ireland. Now, that last game, Ireland's going to do what they always do against the Scots, and that's beat them. I think Ireland can put their women's team on the field against Scotland and beat Scotland. For some reason, they're just Scotland's bogey team. So do I think this is going to be a successful year for Ireland? No. It's going to be a B-plus season or B-minus season, and they're going to continue searching for answers. Moving straight into the cream of the crop, the two big dogs of the big dogs, and that is France and England. Now, this French team will go into the Six Nations odds-on favorite, bookie favorites, hot favorites. But therein lies the issue for this French team. And that is that it can only go one or two ways. Either they're going to dominate the Six Nations, run away with it, or they're going to implode. And there is that crux for the French team. Because if you look at French teams in days gone by, you never knew which French team will pitch up. It's a Jekyll and Hyde. Are they going to be great? Or are they going to be meh? Now they moved away from that. They shook off that label, and they became a lot more structured, a lot more predictable in the way that you knew they were going to pitch up. It's going to be a difficult game. It's not going to be a French team that is just going to give up. They've got too many good players for that. They've got, and I hate to say this, one of the best players in the world, in Antoine Dupont. He is a mercurial. He is a once-in-a-generation player. Then you've got Mr. LBB, Louis Belberet. That guy just knows where the try line is. You give him a sniff, he will score. And you got Intermac, Ramos. It's ridiculous, this backline that the French have. But they've gone kind of back towards that previous team where you didn't know who's pitching up. If you take the South African game, the Boks game, for example, they were supposed to win that game, let's be honest. But the moment that the Boks lost a player, it's as if they went back into their shell and they played very conservative rugby. Their tactics were inexplicable. And the Boks just upped the ante, upped the pace, upped the intensity. And France just didn't know what to do. So, was that a ominous sign for them moving forward, or is that just the France team against a great Bok team? I don't know. That we'll see in the Six Nations. But just before we go into the fixtures, Mr. Fabien Galthié made three big calls in player omissions. The first one is left out one of their most dependable players in the midfield. That is Gaël Fickou. He has a ton of caps. He's dependable. He plays very front foot rugby, and you know what you're going to get out of him. So that was a shock. Then the biggest shock for me is that he left out their leading try scorer in Damien Penaud. where I don't know why he's done that. You won't get a better winger in World Rugby, one-on-one tackle, to shake them off, to make them miss that first tackle. He doesn't have the feet of a Colby or a LBB, but the guy just, it doesn't look like you can tackle him first up, and he's been left out. Now, is that a sign that this French team is moving in a different direction in terms of tactics, or in terms of the way they want to play? Time will now tell. If that call will be a brilliant, miraculous, Einsteinian call, Nostradamus type thing, or will Fabien Galtier look like a clown? I don't know. And then the third one is Gregory Aldridge. He is one of my favorite eighth men in World Rugby. The guy just dominates. His effort that he puts in, the engine on the guy, he's relentless. He keeps on going forward. And he was the vice captain as well. So it's interesting calls, and how that will affect this French team moving forward, I don't know. But it's definitely brave, to say the least. But if we can quickly just move into this year's fixtures, France will be playing Ireland off the bat in France. That will be difficult, but they're going to pull through there. Then they're going to play Wales in Wales. It's a win. They're going to be playing Italy in France. Another win. Scotland in Scotland. That's a win. And then the big one. The one against England in France. But that one I will leave for my next section. And we're going to move straight along to the big one. And that is England. Now, for me, and this might be controversial coming from a person from the South, England was the most improved team in 2025. I won't say they played better rugby than the Boks, but for me, they were the second best team in World Rugby in 2025. The strides this England team has taken is astronomical. And it's not been by playing flashy rugby. It's by playing boring, brutal, and effective rugby. It's as if they sat next to a Springbok during an exam and copied off our paper. Because that is winning rugby. You don't need to be flashy. You don't need to throw the ball around every second and do back passes and skip passes and crossfield kicks every 5 seconds. No. Forward dominance, get over the gain line, protect the ball, and kick your points, kick your goals. Stay on the front foot, play territory. And this England team did it brilliantly. So what do I think England will do in this Six Nations? It's kind of clear. They will dominate. They will beat Italy, they will beat Wales, they will beat Scotland, they will beat Ireland. And then it's all going to come down to the France game in France on the 14th of March. And in my humble opinion, I see this England team doing what they've done in 2016, and that is taking home the Grand Slam. Winning the Six Nations, beating every team, and showing more improvements in winning the Grand Slam. Yes, they're going to do it. So, what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And if so, please go to the comment section below. Hit me up there. Talk a bit of banter. Talk a bit of rugby there. And give me your predictions. Let's see what you think is going to happen in the Six Nations. We're all rugby lovers. We all love to give our opinion and make statements and bold hot takes. But please, I'd appreciate some comments. I'd appreciate liking the video, sharing it with your mates, and just enjoy whatever content I can put out for you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching. And this has been Alex for Inside the Gain Line. And I will see you next time on the Gain Line. Take care and have a good one.